Greetings, everyone. My name is For Extraordinaire, and if you are looking for how to start your first city in Humankind and how to survive the Neolithic era, especially on higher difficulties, I am here to help you out. First things first, I just want to take a look at the surroundings. I'll get straight into the video and kind of talk about what I see here. I have a fairly nice start, but usually, especially on some of the more difficult difficulties, and especially humankind difficulty. If you have a start like with desert or tundra and there's no near immediate spots for your city, like this very good ample grassland plains forested area, at least for production and whatnot, I heavily recommend you to restart. But if you're playing on lower difficulties, speak of the devil, we have some tundra here. If you're playing on lower difficulties, I recommend always at least trying to check out the surrounding area, because you may be impressed by the terrain depending on how the map RNG pans out. I found it, in some circumstances I'm lucky, or I'm very unlucky. But right here, I'm going to end my turn. Basically, my kind of motivation for going out up on the hill, instead of just going west to kind of explore here for food, is that the tundra in general is very inhospitable, especially for early on. And there's not really that many ancient era civs. I think the Harappans are, and the Egyptians may be good ones, but there's not really that many ancient era civs that are good at surviving in the tundra and the taiga. So you always want to seek out some of the softer grassland plains, get that food and production up, because those are the most important core resources, and then you just want to kind of expand on that past there. The first resource we've encountered, and it kind of is a bit RNG dependent for me, is food. Sometimes you'll get more science yields, sometimes you'll get more food yields, but generally speaking, you always want to grab these yields because they'll offer you boons of food or science, and your general goal is to get at least at the bare minimum 2 pops, so you can have some scouts to at least go and explore. I know sometimes if you get some very poor very poor food yields, it can be kind of painful to carry on, especially on higher difficulties again. But I have been blessed with some food yields here, and one of the things I really want to do is make sure I have a higher elevation point that I'm being able to look that I can kind of look through. And so through this higher elevation point, I can kind of see some of the other terrain, and then you can see there the mountains are actually obstructing my viewpoint there. So I'm having some science here too, and that's actually going to kind of be hard to get to, as you can see. It's up on this cliff, so I'm actually not going to bother going too far past this, because I can see it's a cliff, it's rocky, so I'm not going to want to explore that. Furthermore, there's also tundra, so you have to be very careful in terms of calculating that. However, we have also gotten our first science boost, and that is going to grant us some extra influence for founding our first outpost. It only costs 5 influence, thankfully, but you have to be very careful, because if you do not get any influence, you're not going to be able to found your first outpost. So speaking of outposts, I should probably go ahead and explain why I'm founding my first outpost now, and that is really just to get my initial food and production out. And for those of you who don't know, outposts actually grow while you're not attending them. So if I put an outpost down here, for example, and I leave it here, it's actually going to grow while I'm out exploring with the Neolithic era. So if I don't initially get a good population going, like just manually seeking out food, killing mammoths and whatnot, which I'll get to later if we can find any, if we're lucky enough. But if you are not able to kind of do those things and gather those resources, the first thing you really want to do once you get some influence is to plop down an outpost, even if it's a bad one, and to just kind of get that food going and trying to just really get a good population up, because it will be growing pops for you while you're not kind of being right there maintaining it. So I just want to seek out a good location. I have several good places for production. I don't want to place it down here, because while I'm going to get some great production, I'm not going to have too much food early on. I want to kind of place it up higher as well, because just for strategic value, if you're playing on higher difficulties again, you want to be very careful. You don't want too much food without a lot of production, because you're not going to have really too much to kind of allocate your pops to, and you're not going to have that much to kind of plop down if you're really in like a really grassy flatland start, to kind of put down maker's quarters to get your population more productive. So I think a good idea might be to place it right down here. I have forest, I have luxuries, so I have some very good initial gold output, especially if I'm playing as the Nubians, and I also have just a lot of good resources to work with. I'm a bit low on food, but I can always kind of expand past there, and I think I might actually put it down here. I changed my mind, but right here or right here are always very, very good spots. This Legion has a lot of local resources, like horses to kind of get me started if I'm playing as the Assyrians, and in general, it's going to be very, very good for growing your pops. Now, let me talk about events here, because there are a variety of events you can get. I've had, like, at least, I think, 5 separate events. There's not too many distinct events that'll be really, really impactful. But in general, for the events for the Neolithic era, I find that there's going to be events for kind of buffing your initial outposts, getting you cheaper technology costs, giving you more tribesmen, or I think there's other ones for increasing your movement speed as well, but again, not too many, about like 5 or 6. And I always find that just in general, you don't need to be too involved in the lore. If you're kind of trying to be meta and planning out your cities and getting the best era score, I definitely recommend going with things like increasing your food. That's always great because the initial starting population is very, very important. And also just, again, kind of getting, how do I say this, kind of just really trying to consolidate your resources. So let's go over here. We have found a deer, and I definitely want to start killing that. So now that we have 2 tribesmen, which we just received from that food resource, and we are fairly blessed with food resources, though this start itself is not too good because there's a lot of surrounding tundra, and tundra is very, very annoying to deal with in the early game. But I'm just playing through this to just try to show you guys how I would just carry this out, as all starts are not perfect and balanced as I wish they'd be. So let's go ahead and fight this deer, and the reason we're going to fight this guy, and deers usually are a bit weaker than the starting tribesmen, I think. Maybe they might be about the same strength. But for the deer, and especially for the mammoths, you want to make sure you are going ahead and trying to kill them. The deer only reward 5 food, I believe, maybe 5 to 10 food. I think there might be maybe some random variance with it. But if you can, and if you have at least 2 tribesmen, you want to stack them up. And if you are near kind of sanctuaries, you can always try to camp outside and kill deer and mammoths, especially mammoths, as they reward tons of food and influence. For that population boost. So let's try to move these guys away from the hill. The reason I'm doing this is because the deer can actually get on the hill, and they can go ahead and attack from a higher terrain, and terrain is king in this game, as I've kind of elaborated with my outpost and where I want to place it. But again, terrain is king. It is very, very important to kind of position your guys away from higher hills, or if you can, position them on higher hills and attack from the higher altitude because you get a combat bonus. So I'm positioning my guys away from there because the deer did start here, and if I started here, I would actually have some problems with them potentially killing one of my tribesmen. Definitely don't underestimate the AI here. But this guy will actually attack me. I found that the animal AI is not as smart as the regular AI. That may just be anecdotal, but I've just found in general, again, not too smart when it comes to attacking. They'll always go after you when you initiate combat. And they actually won't attack you, so you don't have to worry about coming across deer and then just randomly jihading you and trying to kill all of your scouts. So thankfully they don't do that. Mammoths don't do that either. But when it comes to things like bears, you definitely do want to be careful, as I don't think they reward too much food, and they do like to attack, so at least keep your distance with that. And we did get some food from that. So it is only a measly 5, but since it didn't even cost us that much, I definitely would consider attacking deer if you're low on food, and kind of just being careful with your starting resources. So again, here's another deer. But we haven't found too many mammoths, so I'm just going to be careful. And what I'm going to do here is actually, since there's no mammoths, I just wanted to grab that deer for a quick little snack, and I just wanted to make sure to plop down my outpost and really try to get some initial food out. So actually, let's go ahead and attack this guy. And I do have the high ground this time. The deer was smart enough to go ahead and start there, since there's an initial range with your starting deployment where you can kind of deploy. And so what I want to do is move my guy over here, just kind of trying to explain the basics of combat. Make sure there's enough room so I'm not kind of attacking from the lower ground again. With the altitude, be very, very careful, and kind of just flanking this guy with both of my units so I can really kind of maximize my combat potential here. All right, and he's going to attack, and we're taking very, very little damage. And he actually attacked from the lower ground. I find even the nation's AI, or the kind of empire AI, I guess you could say, tend to do this too, which is just very, very funny to watch. Then just completely sacrifice an optimal position and basically give up and attack you from the lower ground. So we're going to kill him. I think we'll probably get 5 food again. Let me just see here. And we did get some influence too. So again, the deer RNG can be very kind of wild, but we did get another pop here. So definitely worth it. I'm going to go ahead and send this guy if I can. Okay, that was actually a mistake by me. But I was actually hoping to send one of the tribesmen. Which one was it? This is another issue I have with Humankind. Okay, never mind. That's fine. I thought I made a mistake. But basically, we had already gone ahead, and I'm going to kill this guy real quick here. We had already gone ahead and grew our pop, so I didn't need to worry about sending the guy with the most food over to collect that, as we were all at 0. So let's go ahead and kill this deer real quick. I definitely want to maximize my food here as quickly as possible. And I do need to be just, again, very, very careful, as it looks like there's some better terrain up here, but very, very careful early on, as I don't want the AI to quickly overgrow me, and I need to get to the next culture as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and finish you off. Okay, if I get any more combat, kind of similar with deer, I'll probably make sure to instant resolve it. I found that the instant resolve AI is not that bad, so let's go ahead and send you down here. And we got a victory. Got some more influence. And we have another event. We have violent pursuits. I'm just going to go ahead, and I definitely don't want to get encouraged as I'm trying to grow my pops, and I don't really need experience for my units right now. That would be maybe good with the Mycenaeans as they start with extra starting experience. But violent pursuits, I would say, not too good. But I mean, some of the other options aren't too good. But I definitely go with forbid because I want to get some of that initial population starting out. So we might not even get that, but the still bountiful, I believe, will carry on to my other. What is the word I'm looking for? To my to the ancient era. That's excuse me there. Anyhow, we're gonna move our guys out. We're trying to find some more resources so we can ascend. Again, I haven't been too lucky in terms of specific food or other resource generators. So we're gonna go ahead and resource yield. So we're gonna go ahead, and I already got a glitch. This game is very, very glitchy. Send that guy over there to kind of explore, and then you'll send this guy over here to get the high ground, and then kind of map out some of the terrain to the south. Okay, very, very weird. This guy's kind of blocking the way. I don't want to fight him right now. Someone's chosen the Mycenaeans, and okay, very, very odd glitch. Let's go ahead and collect this food. And we are on a ridge. I just want to go over there and collect that resource. And then you should be ascending fairly quickly. Make sure to always keep in mind, especially when you have the dilemma between wasting movement for food or research. If you are trying to reach a culture, for example, I would obviously want to prioritize growth over knowledge, because I do want to ascend as quickly as possible and kind of try to show off some of the cultures that you can get and when to pick certain cultures, though that may be for a separate video. All right, and we found our mammoth, and it looks like we found a mammoth sanctuary too, possibly. And one of the things I want to explain about sanctuaries is that they are always worth usually prioritizing over food resources, because as food resources can kind of range between 5 to 15, I believe, is their variance. Sanctuaries always provide plus 20 food in the Neolithic era, so they're always worth it to kind of spend a turn on ransacking, as you will immediately get another tribesman, which can in turn be used to funnel into a city. And then if they are mammoth dens, I recommend just camping out 2 people to kind of hunt the mammoths, because mammoths can reward up to 20 food and 20 influence, which is a huge boon as you get just another tribesman out of it. So sanctuaries, especially mammoth sanctuaries, are very, very important to kind of prioritize early on and make sure you are farming them. Okay, so where's that invisible guy? Okay, there you are. I don't think we can get this guy, so we're just gonna have to avoid him, though I definitely will keep that in mind. We're probably not gonna have enough turns to. Okay,